Hey, this is Bobby Rio, and today I wanted to talk to you about 3 more tactics you can use to have better conversations with women. Today I'm presenting 3 more tools to make your conversations with women more enjoyable. I'm going to be talking about emotions, telling stories, and using nonverbal communication. The first thing I want to talk about is concentrate on the emotions rather than the facts. Women are different than men, as we talked about in part 1 and part 2 of this series. Women love to talk about the meaning behind actions and the emotions they invoke. It's also true that the emotions you arise during a conversation shall subconsciously anchor them to you. This means if you're talking about relationships and she starts talking about all the bad feelings she experienced with her previous boyfriend, she's gonna begin to associate those feelings to you. Try this instead. If it is true that women will anchor negative feelings to you, then it must also be true that women will anchor positive feelings to you. This is why it's important to draw her into a positive emotional state. One way to do this, discussed in the last video, is to tease her. Another way to do this is to ask questions and make statements that prompt her to talk about specific feelings she has for something. So if you're talking to a woman and she mentions the fact that she likes to go snowboarding, instead of talking about facts such as what mountain does she usually snowboard at, or what kind of equipment does she use, which is common questions you would ask another man, instead get her to talk about the feelings she experiences while snowboarding. For example, you could say, "Did you do anything fun last weekend?" "Yeah, I went snowboarding. I had the best time." "Wow, I love snowboarding. I think I'm literally addicted to the rush I get going down the mountains. What about you? What excites you most about snowboarding?" Her. "Well, I guess it would be the feeling of adventure, like going so fast, being so scared, but not wanting it to end because it feels like you're really living." In this example, you've taken the topic of snowboarding and talked about the meaning behind snowboarding and the emotion it evokes. Since these emotions are positive, you put the woman in a positive mood, and she subconsciously anchored the feelings of adventure and excitement and not wanting it to end to you. The next tool I want to talk about is tell more stories that put you in a positive light. When a bunch of guys are sitting around with each other, it becomes almost a competition as to who can tell the best story. We try to tell stories that make us appear the funniest, the coolest, the most dominant guy in the group. Yet for some reason, when we get around a woman, we totally forget to make use of this skill. A woman wants to figure things out about you on her own. She doesn't necessarily trust everything you're saying, so she's trying to look for little clues that will help her determine where you fit in the pecking order. Stories are a natural way to capture someone's attention, and if told right, they're also a great way to drop subtle clues as to the finer points of your persona. As you tell a story, you need to remember that a woman is listening to your story, but at the same time, she's reading behind the lines to make certain judgments about you. For instance, let's say you tell a story how Tuesday afternoon you were lying in bed with a hangover and someone kept knocking on your door until finally you answered it, and it was these annoying religious freaks trying to convert you to some weird new religion. Well, while you may have intended the story to be a funny farce about the annoying religious people, she's already begun to pigeonhole you as the kind of guy who gets drunk on a Monday night, doesn't have a job, has to wake up for, and has no ambition to get out of bed until the afternoon. Unless you're both in college, these are not necessarily traits that will excite her. Try this instead. You don't want to come off bragging during your stories. This is why any positive details about your life you want to emphasize must be hidden within a larger story. This means while the story itself does not have to be positive, she must be able to uncover positive traits about you from within the story. Let's use the same story above about the religious folks knocking on the door and see how we could tell it in a way that sheds some positive light on you. So Tuesday afternoon, I'm sleeping late. This was like the first good, comfortable sleep I've had in a couple weeks, as I've been busting my ass trying to elevate my business to the next level. Monday night, we scored a kick-ass contract, and me and my team finally decided it was time to celebrate. So now Tuesday morning, I'm lying in bed with the kind of hangover I haven't had in years, and I keep hearing a knock on the door. I just don't want to get out of bed. Later then, later that day, I had a few more important meetings. I really wanted to sleep off the hangover so I'd be able to be in top shape to deliver the proposal. Well, the knocking stops for like 10 minutes, but then starts up again, and now they're ringing my bell too. Finally, I throw on some clothes, I head downstairs and answer the door, and it's these two little girls. At first I'm thinking they want to sell me Girl Scout cookies or something, but then she hands me this flyer that says, "Let Jesus save you from your treacherous life," and I'm thinking, am I on some sort of list or something? In this version of the story, I included enough details to let her jump to the conclusion that I'm an ambitious and successful businessman, but I never came out and said it. I gave her this information in the context of a story about a couple of religious nuts trying to convert me. The next tool is to remember the nonverbals. I recently wrote an article titled "How to Draw Women into Your Conversations." In this article, I discussed the subtle things you need to be doing to project that you're a fun, confident man that she should feel excited to be talking to. Most men don't do this. Instead, most men let their nervousness control their entire body and wind up coming off fidgety, tense, and even slightly awkward. This happens because while men are talking to a woman, they get stuck in their own head. They begin concentrating extremely hard on how they can impress the woman. Try this instead. A tip that I heard from a great pickup artist once that has helped me over the years is to imagine that the woman's already told you that later she's going to get naked and sprawl out all over your bed and let you have your way with her. If you knew this, how would you act? You'd probably be quite laid back with a knowing, sly smile on your face, and you'd have no problem getting fun and flirtatious because there wasn't a risk of rejection. Well, can you imagine how acting this way can actually get you the result of having a woman sprawled out naked in your bed? Give it a shot next time you're out. I've learned a lot about these sort of small talk tactics that get women to like hanging out with you and become attracted to you, and I've compiled a bunch of them into a 27-page report I call Small Talk Tactics and a 1-hour audio training session called Conversation Secrets. And I want to give them both away to you completely free, no strings attached. Grab your free copy of the report and the audio now at www.makesmalltalksexy.com. In this 27-page manuscript, you're going to learn a concept I call finding the game that will allow you to turn any conversation sexy within seconds. I'll give you 4 examples you can use tonight to get girls hot and wild over you. These work even if you're not naturally outgoing. I'm going to give you a simple technique that creates conversation momentum, which keeps the talk flowing, makes her laugh, and builds sexual tension, all while she slowly becomes addicted to being around you. I'm already getting a ton of emails from guys who've used this one technique telling me it changed their game overnight. I'm also going to give you one simple and discreet phrase to inject into your conversations with a woman that instantly catapults you out of the friend zone and gets her thinking of you as a potential lover. Trust me, once you put this in her brain, she literally can't help but picture having sex with you. So go to www.makesmalltalksexy.com and grab the free report.